Today we have a sporting legend in our midst, Sean Fitzpatrick of New Zealand Rugby. He played 92 times for New Zealand. He was captain for 6 years. He won the Rugby World Cup. He is a true icon and a legend. He achieved everything that you could achieve in the sport, and now he's translated that into business success, social impact, a media career. So today you're going to find somebody with a zest for life, a super achiever, hyper successful, but incredibly humble, and many life lessons for you to take away. So Sean, what's keeping you busy in 2024?
Well, here we are in the offices of Laureus, which is very dear to my heart. So I'm the chairman of the academy and of the Sport for Good Foundation. So that's keeping me busy. Do a lot of public speaking, and I'm involved still with New Zealand Rugby, and just trying to improve my golf, which I even had a knee operation to try and improve my golf. So.
Do you know yet whether that's worked? Is your game on?
No, I haven't had a go yet. Haven't had a game since I had the operation 5 weeks ago. So.
Okay, very recent. Yeah. Tell us a bit more about Sport for Good.
So Laureus Sport for Good was set up 25 years ago. As Laureus, we have an academy of past greats in their own minds. We have a World Sports Awards once a year. Been going 25 years, started in 2000. And then from that, we developed the Sport for Good Foundation, which is sort of what we're about, really. And we use sport as a mechanism for change. Our founding patron was Nelson Mandela, who came to our awards in 2000 and gave a wonderful speech. But the essence of it was, sport has the power to change the world. But as athletes, you have the power to change the world. So go out there and use your power to help disadvantaged children. A lot of our children are at risk. So we support over 300 projects globally. We've raised over €250 million, €250 million, and we're in 45 countries. So, and we've helped change the lives of over 7 million children. So, we're proud of what we've achieved, and long may it continue. Yeah, it's good. It's just, especially in the way the world is at the moment. You look at the Olympic Games in Paris. A day before the Olympics, it was in turmoil. The Olympics started, and sport changed everyone's feelings. So, we have a real important part to play in the world.
Sean, I love that notion when you say sport has the power to change the world. What has sport done for you in your life?
Oh, well, for me, it's given me so much, and that's why at Laureus we try and help these children that are at risk, just to get them off the streets, get them into the classroom. Which the classroom may be a boxing ring, maybe a football field, but just to get them in there, then we can give them the values, we can feed them, we can give them things to drink, but things more importantly is respect, really. And that's one of the key things that have changed, I think, in the last 10 years, that a lot of people have lost respect. So hopefully through what we do, and for me personally, I played rugby. But as my father said to me, he said, you don't need to play rugby union. Just play a team sport and make sure you enjoy it. And it did. It sort of gave me a purpose, I suppose. And we'll get into that, I suppose, a bit later. But I'm very fortunate. Sport's given me so much. But I love all sports.
You mentioned respect. You mentioned purpose. Two common things that come up in sport, but you achieve pretty much everything that's possible to achieve in your sport. So you're very understated when you talk about it. But obviously you must have had something about you. Yes, your father before you, but what do you think were the qualities that really set you apart?
Well, I think back to Dad, and he was an All Black. So everyone just assumed I'd be an All Black. We had no memorability around the house. We'd have All Blacks dropping into the house all the time, but it was never a big deal. And Dad didn't want to make a big deal of it. And he didn't push me as a young boy. I was a bit overweight. I'd never played in the best teams, but it gave me a sort of a view. And then I had a teacher when I was 12, our accounting teacher, Guy Davis, and I was playing in the worst team at the school because I was overweight. So I got dispensation playing the third grade, and we were just a bunch of kids who were just playing in mud, basically. And we had this teacher, Guy Davis, who came to us, and he's our accounting teacher. And he said to this motley bunch of no-hopers, he said, there's 3 things I want from you. He said, the first thing, everyone on this team is equal. The second thing, when you turn up here on a Monday night, I want you to turn up with a bit of an attitude that you want to be successful. That's pretty cool. Two key messages. But the third message is probably our mantra in the All Blacks. Is he said, all I want from you individually is to be as successful as you can be. Which is, what was he saying to us? He said, I want you to be a winner. And just for me, that just flipped the switch. I want us to be a winner. And winning is everything. And I'm not talking about cheating and all that, but if you don't have that attitude, and it's the same in business, marketing, playing rugby, if you haven't got that attitude, you want to be a winner, you're never going to achieve anything. So how do you win? I need to learn how to kick off both feet. I need to learn how to pass with both hands. And we go to training on Monday and we'd have lost by 100 points. And you say, Sean, were you a winner on Saturday? I said, Mr. Dave, I managed to kick the ball with my left foot. You go, fantastic. Work on something next week. And it's the same, with the All Blacks. The All Blacks talk about winning all the time. And as long as you can harness that fear of failure, because that's being a winner, most winners have a fear of failure. It's the same in business. Work hard. And how do you harness it? Work harder. Practice, 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 practice. And then when you go and try something, you're thinking, that's probably going to come off. Why does Zinzan Brook kick a goal in the semi-final, a drop kick from 45.5 metres out? Because he'd practiced that. As a kid growing up, both feet he could have done it with. But that's just about attitude about winning. And I do not, for the life of me, as parents, why don't we encourage our children to be winners? Because then it just changes little Johnny's attitude. When he turns up at the park, I want to be a winner. And then it's the same in the All Blacks. And then eventually, if you stop winning, or you can't win, you think, maybe rugby's not the game for me. Maybe I need to try something else. Or maybe, like in business, maybe I've got a bit fat and lazy. Maybe I'm taking my position for granted if you're not winning. So maybe I need to try something else. And that was for me, that was such a key message. And then I had natural ability, and then, through hard work, I became an All Black. Just like that.
Yeah, exactly. So easy. Who'd have thought that an accounting teacher would have played a role in...
The lovely Fijian man he was.
I love when you talk about it. Almost sounds that when you're not on, you're going through a streak where you're not winning, there will almost be self-doubt that creeps in. And then to that same notion, you described the thought that maybe it's time to change up and do something different. And there's always this rub between sticking at the knitting, sticking at the game, versus actually, okay, I know now the time is up and I need to maybe do something. How did you manage to equate that at those moments when perhaps it wasn't going your way?
Very hard, and people don't realise, unless you've been a winner, unless you've been number one, people don't realise how hard it is to firstly get there, and then secondly, maintain it. How do you continue to sustain a culture of success? And in the All Blacks, we talk about that. And for us, it's about, we have all these sayings, prepare as if you're number two. Never, ever think you're good enough. That is such a good message. Because once you get there, everyone's chasing you, right? And as soon as you take your foot off the pedal, you're going to get caught. The way we were doing it yesterday is not good enough to win tomorrow. So you look where the All Blacks are at the moment. We're number 3 in the world, 4 in the world. They've got to do something different. And that's, this new sector we're in terms of the cycle win with the World Cup. This is year 1 of the cycle. So they're going to be developing things over the next few weeks that are going to be a bit different to try and get back to those winning ways of being the best team in the world. So, for me, you go through success, and then success became a bit easy, actually. For us, we're in the All Blacks, we were winning everything. And then we went to the World Cup in 91, and little did we know, Australia was much better than us. And we didn't even know that. We weren't even analysing. We just literally say to ourselves, we got fat and lazy, got arrogant. You need to be arrogant to be successful. but leave it on the field. We'd taken that arrogance out of the office. Same in business. And little did I know, but my opposite number, Phil Kearns, was actually better than me. And I thought I was better than him. Took my wife to tell me, he's better than you. And literally stripping everything back to the bare boards. You know, some guys got passed over, they got let go because they wouldn't change. And then some of us were lucky to be given another opportunity. And yeah, so there was probably 4 of us that were from that team in 91, played in 92. And then the rest of us they were all just new kids. They had a fear of failure. Wearing the All Black jersey was too much for them. If Grant Fox, Sean Fitzpatrick, Zinzan Brook or John Kirwan played badly, we'd lose. So it just took years of developing that attitude about winning. And then eventually we started winning again. Yeah.
You talk about this attitude, and it feels like for you it's more of a mental struggle than it is of a physical one. Ironically, given it's rugby, would that be right? Or the combination, the balance?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's to mentally get out of bed every morning. I've changed my attitude to this. When people said to me when I retired, "Do you miss it?" I'd say no, I don't miss it. I said because for 12 years it was the only thing in life that mattered to me, and it's the same in business too. That what we say now is play where your feet are. So when you're at work, you give it 100%. 100%. Nothing else matters. Just being the best rugby player. When you're at home, play where your feet are. Nothing else matters except my wife, children. Put your phones away, computers away, 100% at home. Then you don't have any other friends because you haven't got time for other friends. You don't go to the pub. You don't play golf because you haven't got time. Any other spare time you have, you either at work or you're with the family. And that takes it out of you. But if you've got 100% of your team with that attitude, no one's going to beat you. So play where your feet are. And then you need to surround yourself with the right people who are going to let you do that. So you make sure your partner, your advisors, they're the right people. Because otherwise you're going to be under pressure to do things.
So our mutual friend Craig Fenton, when I asked him to describe you succinctly, he said you're a very good human. And we've already heard regards Laureus. So, and you've touched on it a little bit, but I just want to go a bit deeper in terms of what are your personal values.
I always remember Dad always said, say please and thank you, which I think is so important. I'm a big believer in, and this is through captaincy, help me. One of my old managers came to me and knocked on the door. I think it was my 3rd test as captain. In 92, we were playing Ireland and Dunedin. I still remember exactly where we were. And this old boy came to the door, knocked the door. His name's John Sturgeon. He's a coal miner from the East Coast in the South Island. No, and I said, Fatsy. He said, I'd like to have a cup of tea with you. Are you available? I said, of course, mate, Sturge, come on in. So we had a cup of tea. And he said, how are you enjoying this gig? Captaining the All Blacks. I thought, not enjoying it at all. He said, I know. I said, I can see it in you. He said, you know why you're not enjoying it? I said, Sturge, tell me why I'm not enjoying it. He said, because you're not being your bloody self. He said, just be yourself. And what he was saying to me is, you need to be comfortable in your own skin. And that was probably the biggest learning I got from being captain of the All Blacks. Is just be yourself. And so many people aren't themselves. It's quite sad. When you see people, they're trying to be somebody else. Like I was trying to be. I was trying to be Buck Shelford, or I was trying to be Andy Dalton, or where I should just be myself. And that was that. And I think that then reflects on you as a person, who you are. Because we say in the All Blacks, good people make great teams. And it's exactly what we do here at Laureus. We pick good people. At Laureus, they're already superstars in terms of their sports, but they still need to be a good person to be brought into our organisation. Where in the All Blacks, Laurie Mains, for example, who was the coach who's started this, he would pick a good person. Okay, Laurie, why are you picking him? He said, I'd say, that guy's a much better player. He said, no, he's not the right person for our team. And then he'd turn them into great All Blacks. And it's just so important. I just say to people, it's not hard being a good person, is it? You know? And and as you get older, I'm 61 now, as you get older, you have less friends. You know why? Because you won't put up with people who are not good people. That's what I find. I just want to surround myself with good people. Not always. You're not going to have always that luxury. But there's no reason not to be a good person.
Sean, you described and you said that you weren't enjoying some of that stint in that moment and in that anecdote. I often find, I've never been in as high pressure moments as I'm sure you have, but I almost wonder, because you're so consumed in either the task at hand, winning, beating, do you actually get to enjoy the moment?
I think as you get older, you do. When you're a kid, when you're 21 years old, 22, it's just all consuming. You're just like, my God, this is like, I've got an imposter syndrome where I think I'm not good enough, which I think is a good trait to have, because then you train harder. But I think as you get older, you sort of stand around and go, like the guys playing at Twickenham on Saturday, they will, some of those young kids who have never been there will be like, wow. And that's what the cycle's all about, is gaining the experience to be able to embrace those moments. Some of the kids struggle wearing the All Black jersey because the legacy of the jersey is so great. The pressure of continuing the success of the All Blacks, the people that have been before you. But what we try and do is, I was there on Tuesday night. I told them a couple of stories about my coming into the All Blacks. You need to know the history of the organisation. The people that have been before you. Dave Gallagher, our first All Black captain, who captained the Invincibles in 1905. His parents came to New Zealand in 1890. He then fought in the Boer War. Then as a 40-year-old, lied about his age, had 4 children. He went to the First World War in 1917 and died in Passchendaele. And we as All Blacks, we still go there when the boys are in France, or if they're around that area, they'll go to Passchendaele and see Dave Gallagher's grave. So the history, and I say to people that the history of where you gentlemen would have worked, or say Versace and Saatchi, or etc., or the history of Laureus, the history of Richmond, which our founders are from, you need to know the history of an organisation, and then you can make sure you pass the jersey on in a better state you found it.
Mark, there was an anecdote that you once said to me when you met Johnny Wilkins. I don't know if you remember that, and how he was thinking, and some of that thought that he had when he was...
Well, it really links to the point you made about enjoying it, in that his reflection on 2003 is he achieved the pinnacle, obviously. And I think subsequently he's talked about this openly, but that he felt quite hollow in that moment of victory, because it was an expectation that was fulfilled. And what next? So maybe if I translate that into a question, how did you keep finding that what next?
I was ready to retire in 91 after we lost in Ireland. Went home and just 27 years old, and my wife said to me, "You can't retire." She said, "You've got so much more to achieve." So I was given an opportunity, and I took that. 95, same thing. I still remember driving to the stadium. I said to Rick Sleet, so my good mate who was our press guy, I said, "Ricardo, whatever happens today, I'm retiring." and then I'd get back to the hotel after crying, after losing in the extra time. And Kevin Roberts sitting there, who was on our board of the All Blacks, New Zealand Rugby, and he said, "Fatsy," having a Guinness, I think we were, he said, "You're not retiring." I said, "Yeah, no, I'm done." He said, no, you got to come back here next year and beat South Africa in South Africa. Be the first All Black team to ever do it, and you're going to captain them. I went, oh, okay, let me think about that. And that was it. And then literally having a knee injury in 97, end of 97, and it was literally John Hart said to me, took me out for dinner, and I played against Wales to see if I'd be fit enough to play against England the following week. And we went out for dinner on the Monday night of the England test and sat down, two of us, as we normally did. And he said, Fitzy, you're going to retire. I said, no, I'm not. He said, you're going to retire. He said, you can't do what you used to be able to do because of that knee. I said, give me 6 months. Give me 6 months. And I'm happy not to play on Saturday, but give me 6 months over the summer. And that was it, really. There's a guy called Martin Crowe, a cricketer, Hogan. He rang me the day before I was meant to come back playing for university in March 1998. He rang me on the Friday night. He said, mate, you need to retire. I went, why? He said, because you've got exactly the same problem as I've got. Can't play. That was it. And honestly, when I said, I'm going to retire, it's like, fantastic. It was literally, because it's so hard to let go of something. You know, it's like the same in business. If you're actually comfortable in doing what you're doing, it's hard to let go of it. But once you make that decision and you've got something you've got a plan in front of you, it was fantastic. Because I'd been ready, I think I'd been ready to retire for a while.
Mm. I just want to pick up on that 1995 moment, the tears of loss, extra time. Many people in careers, sporting or business, have abject failure or don't achieve, but have that bounce back ability, resilience. So how did you kind of bottle the failures to turn it into something positive?
I suppose when people say to me that it was meant to be, it was the Mandela. This is all about Mandela. You know, you're unifying a country, which, you know, I look at now and I just totally just wow. You know, I was there 6 weeks ago at Ellis Park for the 30th anniversary of the breakdown of apartheid in 1994. And I played in that stadium 32 years ago. And it was 95% white people, 100% white people in the team. Okay, 30 years on, I'm standing in the stadium watching the game, 75% blacks and coloureds and white people. The team, this is phenomenal, probably 75% blacks, colours and whites together, all because of one man. It's like just only in 30 years, just bonkers. And that's why the power of sport is so important. The ability to unify people, you know, one team, one country. And that was, you know, I think back, and that day it was devastating for us to lose an extra time the way we did. But how that unified a country from being a country that used to support us. Most of the people supported us. It's just amazing. And that's why what we do here is just so gratifying to see, you know, to go down there 6 weeks ago and see that. And then to see the passion, like, they're nuts. They're more passionate about rugby than New Zealand. I couldn't believe it. But a lot of that's just through the power of sport.
You don't come across a guy who believes necessarily in luck. Do you think there have been moments where it has just been career-defining moments based around the flip of a coin or the luck?
Oh, for me, my career was luck. Like I had opportunities that, you know, my first test match was firstly we had the Cavaliers. I don't know if you know the Cavaliers, but they were a rebel All Black team that went to South Africa. So in 1986, 30 All Blacks were taken out of the system for 2 matches. So that gave me an opportunity. So the coach of the All Blacks, a guy called Brian Lahore, who coached me at under 21s. So he sort of, I wasn't even playing for Auckland. And he said, right, you're coming into the team as a reserve hooker. Then on the training on Thursday, the other hooker got injured, Bruce Amara. Brian Hall walks into my bedroom Friday morning. But see, you're starting tomorrow. Wow. Okay, I was just petrified. I'm thinking, with that imposter syndrome, I'm thinking, wow, it's playing against France. And then it just, just from, but what it did for me is that when I got an opportunity, there's no way that guy's going to get my jersey back. The World Cup, I was the reserve hooker. Andy Dalton was the captain of the All Blacks in 1987 for the World Cup. He got injured at training before the first game, pulled a hamstring. So I got put in, and then I played all the games. He didn't play a game, just purely because Andy got injured. So it could have been quite different. But it's that mentality. I'm a stubborn old brute. When I get an opportunity, there is no way that he's going to get that jersey back. Because that's just about working hard, analysing what they're doing. And today it's different because the hookers share the workload. Where in our day, the best players played every game, or supposed best players, and there was no injuries. You didn't come off unless you were injured. That's the only way you got off. So there was no substitutes. So it was a different mentality.
Now, you've talked a bit about some of the ingredients of successful teams. You talked about good people become great players and make great teams. From my perspective, New Zealand is probably the ultimate in terms of team culture, and things like humility, respect come to mind. But how do you describe that culture?
Well, firstly, just having the right people in the room. And I think you look back to good people make great teams. That's really important to us. Like we have lots of sayings, and we have a little black book. We have a book that's just got a few sayings in it that gets updated by every generation, or every team might update it. It's got stories about people that have been before us, great teams that have been before us, and just reading the culture, learning the legacy, just keeping it there. It stays on the bottom of the bag. Good people make great teams. Prepare as if you're number two. All those little sayings, and that sort of stays on the bottom of the bag, and we don't need to talk about it because to have the values written around the room or the culture. What do you need to talk about that for? Because that should be a given. And it amazes me when you go, like the Kevin Roberts days working for Pepsi and then coming to work for Coca-Cola. You could never do that. I could never do that. But because the culture's different. But the people are still the same. And I always say to people when they employ somebody that's not the right person, that's not your fault. I've employed you. That's not your fault. That's my fault employing you. We have a no dickhead policy. And that's what it says on the can. And in our day, we had quite a few people got to first base. Well, they got into the All Blacks, and they shouldn't have been there. Where now, no one gets to first base unless you're the right person, which is good because we have a good pathway. People learn the culture. That's the way it should be.
To some of the people who might previously been dickheads, does that get smoothed out along the way, or is it defined up front? And it's
I think in our day, when I say that, in our day, those early days, because it was different. It was different. Like the young kids coming into the All Blacks weren't allowed to talk. You had to earn the respect to be able to say something. But now, at night, that's one of the things that I loved about when I took over. We had a lot of new young kids coming in. They wanted to talk. They wanted to put their hand up. I'm like, oh, that's a bit different. And we're very multicultural, which we didn't really use that as a benefit to us. Where now they do, it's fantastic. I love the young kids. Like working in an environment like this, it's just full of young kids, and especially in your environment in terms of marketing and that, they have so much to bring to the table, but they need to be given an opportunity. And that's we talk about creating safe spaces where people are comfortable to talk. And that is so key, and especially in a rugby environment. Because the more people that are analysing the opposition, the more people that have ideas, fantastic. But you need to be able to create that environment where they can talk.
What advice would you have for people trying to forge a successful career today, regardless of it be within in professional sport or indeed the business world? Would there be any things that you've learned along the way that have held you in good stead that cuts across various domains?
I have an issue with focusing. You need to be. I get distracted quite easily, so you need to be really focused. And you got to work hard. Let's go back to zero right at the start. Like being good at what you do is not easy. So you've got to work hard.
Isn't working hard today, though, in the traditional sense, and you talked about that compartmentalization of your life between work and then family, seat where you are on the ground, and yet all around us here today we're distracted by all this stuff. It really hinders our ability to sit on the ground and be where you are, and it's really challenging. It's almost like a burnout scenario for people where, and that's why I suspect mental health plays such a big issue in this whole thing today, because you just can't switch off from all of these things.
Got to have your daily routines. It's a good friend of ours, John Kerwin, who's big into mental health in New Zealand, and a great rugby player. But yeah, we talk about it quite a bit, actually. Just doing the simple things. Have your daily mental health plan. Wake up in the morning and feel the water on your back when you're having a shower. How often do we just get up there and, taste the coffee? How often do we, rather than just sitting down and having a chat over a coffee? There's all these little things that you can do, and yoga. I don't do yoga, but I was talking to one of the girls out there about breathing. It's quite important.
I would say fundamental.
Yeah, but I think it is. It's like in business now, in sport, mental wellness is just probably the number one thing that we talk about in terms of, like, especially at work. Like, I work in construction, and the people coming to work are not mentally well. They're gonna cause safety issues. So, it's a big safety draw card.
Brum, just a couple more questions. I wanted to ask you, proudest moment, 87 World Cup, 96 South Africa, or something else. What's your proudest moment?
Proudest moment? Quite funny. We're sort of, in terms of All Blacks, we don't sort of celebrate. We celebrate success, but we park it quickly. We sort of tend to remember our losses more than our wins, which I don't think is a bad thing. So 96 was pretty cool. Having been growing up of a generation of watching the All Blacks go to South Africa and not achieve what they set out to do, I thought that was pretty cool. And to have a tour like that, where it was the first sort of big tour that we'd done with two teams basically. Normally we travel with 27. That tour we had 36 players, so we literally had a Saturday team and a Wednesday team. And to go to South Africa and play them 4 Saturdays in a row, and they were the current world champions in South Africa. That was nice. World Cup in 87, I don't really think we knew what we were doing. We were young, and we had a lot of young players, and it was sort of a bit of a up and down time in New Zealand rugby. But a lot of great players came out of that era through sort of 88. No one could touch us. 89, we came up here and beat teams by 50 points at ease. So that was a good 95. And I still look at 95 as that was a fantastic team we had in 95. And to play at that stadium and to experience Mandela for the first time in terms of his power. I'd met him in 92. And to see what he did, like to wear that Springbok jersey, the jersey of his oppressors, just wow. Just, the electricity that filled the stadium was just mind-blowing.
Sean, can talent be learnt? I know technique and skill, but you've seen the greatest of the greats, and you are one too. Do you feel there's something in it?
You know, it's easy to say just hard work, but you still need that drive and determination. You know, you need to be competitive. You know, which I love. I'm still competitive. I realise I'm not going to be a scratch golfer, but I still want to be a scratch golfer. You know, I'm still that goal is still there, but I'm never going to be a scratch golfer. That's for sure. So I've sort of realised that now, so I can enjoy golf a lot better.
Final question. It's a classic, but with all your years of wisdom and experience, what would you say to your former self way back when you were there at the beginning?
I've got no regrets. So I had my ups and downs. Could I have been a better player? Probably, especially I had 2 blocks. So I had first 6 years. I had natural ability, enjoyed it. We played in a fantastic team, just did my job, selfish, didn't worry about anyone else. And then the second block, being the captain, 6 years, fitter, faster, stronger than the first 6, because I had all these young kids chasing me and I wanted to be fitter than them. But the most important thing, you know, transcending ages, which I'd never done, had to do that before, never had to speak to the young guys or the old guys, and transcending cultures, which I'd never really learned much about the cultures. Yeah, because we had Polynesian, we had Samoans, Tongans, Englishmen, Irishmen, Kiwis. But the most important thing is I was a much better person. And I look back, I'm very proud of that from where I was. And that's, yeah, so being a good person is probably, you know, so I've got no regrets about in terms of what I achieved. I've got the most unbelievable career. You know, won one World Cup, winning another one would have been quite cool, played in 3, you know, winning 2 would have been quite good. But, and I'm now the most massive fan you'll ever see. Like, I'm so excited about going to Twickenham on Saturday.
It sounds like you're totally still involved.
Yeah, like the team now, I was out for dinner with the guys last night, and I asked the coach, I said to him, please tell me that a certain player is playing. I won't say who he was. He said, he's playing. I was like, yay. You know, and he's playing on Saturday. He's just a young kid.
Fabulous.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Very good.
Thank you, Sean.
Very good.
There we go.